movie.
He kills a lot of people in this.
25 fucking. It's a little over the top.
Hey, you know what? It's Halloween Kills. Yeah. It's got to live up to the title, man.
But yeah, so and they, as you mentioned, they didn't beat the living tits out of him in the head with a baseball bat. Yeah. Oh, let's all go home. Let's leave his body there.
Well, let's watch him. Like, they literally beat the shit out of him. He's gotten shot. He's fallen on the ground, and they're just like, all right, let's watch. We beat him. Yay. Let's buy a beer. And sure enough, he's not dead. Why? Because there's no kill shot. And that's like every single time. It's cardinal sin. And that's why I'm like, no wonder he's not fucking dead. Because none of you guys did your due diligence.
Oh, goody, goody, here it comes.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show.
You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
Oh my God, don't stop now!
With your hosts, Ryan, John, and Elaine.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show, the madhouse for film freaks and film fans of all types. I'm your host, Brian Content, and my fellow co-host and filmmaker, John Woolscroft.
Boo, bitches.
Boo, bitches. Boo, bitches.
Just had to scare everybody. It's still spooky season.
It is still spooky season. And technically, this comes out, if I get it edited correctly, it'll come out the week of Halloween.
Ooh. And it's a movie called Easter Kills. No,
yes.
I'm sorry. No, I got the wrong holiday. Arbor Day Kills.
I was going to say, isn't it Arbor Day Kills?
Yeah.
Isn't that your movie?
Oh, yeah. The huge film franchise, Arbor Day.
You got to be careful about that thing. Someone's going to steal it. Someone's going to be like, I listened to that guy, and I'm going to steal his Arbor Day horror movie and going to make $1 million off of it. But yeah, so we're on episode 225. And this week, we decided to cover a newer movie because we don't do that ever. We do that. We've done that a couple of times in the summer, but not really like this. Actually, fell exactly on the right time to get this thing out, and that is, of course, reviewing Halloween Kills, or as I like to call it, Nostalgia Strikes Back.
Yeah, and what the hell does Halloween Kills mean exactly?
It means that the holiday kills.
Should it just be like Halloween Michael Myers Kills? I don't know.
Michael Myers Revenge. I don't know.
Oh, and that was the fifth one. Revenge of Michael Myers.
Was it actually? Okay, that shows you how much. I mean, there's 12 fucking movies, dude. Like I didn't realize it after that point. I'm like, is there really 12? And there really is 12. Like, I think he's getting close to Jason territory.
Oh,
he's getting close to Jason. Like, Jason has what? He's got, 15, 16 movies? There's a lot. There's a lot in there because they did a couple of reboots in there.
I think he's at 12, Jason, actually.
You think Jason's at 12?
Well, there was Jason X where he went to space. And
that was 10.
Yeah, and
X means 10.
If you count Freddy versus Jason, then that's 11.
I count that.
And then they rebooted it, and we haven't seen one since that reboot attempt.
So you're telling me that Michael and Jason are at the same level now? Whoa.
Freddy versus, damn it, I'm so used to saying that. Jason versus Michael. It's got to go down.
Yeah. And I would say that Pinhead should be the referee.
Ding, ding, ding.
Ding, ding, ding. Yeah, but I got to say, I saw the 2018 Halloween, and it was surprisingly enough. I don't know if did we review the 2018 Halloween? I don't remember if we did. I don't think we did.
Oh wow, we've done so many of these. Yeah, I wanted to say no, we didn't, but then I wanted to say yes, we did. Well, here's my quick review of it.
Yeah. You're gonna have to turn your volume down a little bit there, dude, because you're honestly gonna blow out with the fart noises there. But yeah, so here's the thing. Lauren and I, my wife actually loves the Halloween franchise. Like, she loves all of them except for Season of the Witch. Now, I know that, John, you are very partial to Season of the Witch, but my wife, who I'm married to, hates it. and says it's the only one that's bad. And I've told her this, and I said, listen, if it wasn't called Halloween at the beginning of it, you probably would like it. But it's the fact.
she's seen 6 in Resurrection, and she thinks the third one's the only bad one.
Yeah. No. I mean, no. No, but she really doesn't like the third one. She's like, that the one without Michael Myers is bad. I said, yeah, but you have to understand that. And I've tried explaining like the fact that John Carpenter really didn't want to make this into a one monster franchise thing. He really just wanted to have it fall around the holidays and make it more of an anthology series, which, thinking about it, that's actually way ahead of its time.
And that would have been awesome.
And it would have been awesome. But she's a purist in the Michael Myers camp, basically. Okay. And I'm like, what about like the one where the whole cult shit and the weird, like, Jamie incest thing? She's like, no, that Season of the Witch is the one that's bad. But anyway, I'm like, what about Busta Rhymes? She's like, I didn't see that one. I'm like, okay.
Oh, so she hasn't seen Busta.
She didn't want to see Busta because she knew that was shit.
Funny story on that with my interview with Dustin McNeil that I have on my YouTube channel, Cheap Plug.
Cheap Plug.
He had mentioned the reason that Busta comes in at the end and does his karate moves is that they had sent it to test audiences, and all the test audiences came back saying, you need more Busta Rhymes. He's funny. We like Busta Rhymes. And most of these people had never seen a Halloween movie.
Listen,
and so
I don't know anyone who likes Busta Rhymes.
So they reshot the ending where he kicks the crap and does kung fu on Michael Myers because all the test audiences said, put more Busta Rhymes in it.
Well, maybe that should tell you not to listen to nameless test audiences.
Yeah.
Like, seriously. Like, I've personally, and this is maybe a soapbox here, I've never understood the concept of the test audience, because the fact of the matter is that there is literally no way that you can predict from maybe 4 or 5 or 6 different audiences what people are going to like and what people are going to respond to. I never understood that concept. I just honestly saw it as more or less studio busy work.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, did you throw the movie in front of the test audience? What do the test audience think? Oh, well, they hated it. Oh, shit, we really screwed the pooch here. Don't put any money on marketing for this thing. And then sure enough, that little sleeper hit blows up. And they're like, oh, well, next movie we come out, better rely on the test audience again. What? Okay.
Yeah. Hey, John Carpenter, did you put that 1978? For some reason, I mentioned the year Halloween movie up against a test audience. Yeah, they said it was good except for the guy in the white mask. We should cut him out. Yeah.
We should cut him out. Get him out there. There you go.
Just be a nice babysitting movie. Yeah.
It's a nice babysitting movie. Yeah, but the point is, like, we went and we saw the 2018 Halloween, and we didn't hate it, but we kind of all agreed that the minute that the psychiatrist puts the fucking mask on his head, that the movie pretty much jumped the fucking shark at that point, and there was no coming back from it. And that was pretty much it. We were like, I literally looked at my wife when we were watching, just like, what the fuck are we watching here? And who the hell, what podcaster, honestly, and this always bugged me. This really bugged me while watching it. What podcaster relies on analog tapes?
Yeah.
Because he does. He has an analog tape recorder, and he's a podcaster.
I guarantee this started that he was a journalist in the first script, and somebody said, no, it's not hip enough. He's got to be a podcaster. But they already got the props and everything, so they just... Yeah.
But, like, I'm sorry, but if you're a podcaster in 2018, why are you using analog tapes? That would be like us, John, saying, hey, you know what? We're going to be filmmakers, but we're only going to use mini DV tape. Yes, there are better alternatives. Yes, it would be easier. And yes, it would actually, work with equipment that's currently out there. But you know what? I'm so married to the mini DV experience, man, of capturing for hours. I just love that. Yeah. I love the macro blocking that I get when my mini DV tape's corrupted because some jackass dropped it. I really love that. Yeah, that's the thing that always pissed me off about that, was that the guy interviewing Michael Myers is a fucking tape recorder. I'm like, you idiot. This was not written by someone.
That, though.
Huh?
I think we could get away with that. That'd be like a hipster thing. Like they shot it in 2021 on mini DV. Whoa. How retro.
How retro are you, dude? Yeah, but anyway, we watched it. We didn't really care for it. We were like, it's all right. But we kind of all agreed, like Lauren and I both agreed, like, this movie was not the greatest. And we also had the worst experience afterwards because we went to a Garfield's. I don't know if anyone here, and I'm probably going to get shit from Garfield's, the restaurant, if there's still any out there. But we had our worst food experience at the Garfield's that was right next to the movie theater. And it was, I think I told you about this, where I had the worst steak ever that I really think was basically glued together pieces of meat. Like the meat glue. You ever heard about that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the meat glue. I think it was a meat glue steak. And then my wife had, I forget what she had, but her food was also undercooked. I think she had chicken. It was undercooked. And we literally, I remember telling the waitress, I'm like, hey, this food isn't like cooked. And they're like, well, that you wanted it medium. That's medium. I'm like, no, this is not done. This is not cooked.
Well, especially the chicken that Lauren
and they just gave us looks like
that undercooked.
They just gave us looks like, oh well, they give us shit. And then now we found out that they're out of business. I wonder why.
I was gonna say, there goes our future sponsorship from Garfield's.
well, this is the Garfield's in Washington, PA. So I don't know about Garfield's, the corporate entity. I'm sure that this was not the only one, but either way, that was kind of the icing on the Halloween 2018 cake was the shitty food experience, and that's kind of an analogy for the movie. It's like, it's all right. But it's slightly undercooked and might be glued together from ideas of various sorts. See how I did that there? You see how I did that there? I turned it into an analogy.
I will say this. I will say this about the 2018 one. Like,
yeah,
the one scene that I did love is when he gets his mask back and he's just hitting the streets on Halloween night, and he just sees like a woman in her house and like just turns and goes in the back door and just murders her. Like, that to me was like, that's exactly who Michael Myers is. To me, he's always been like a cat who sees like rats and birds everywhere.
Is he though?
I don't know.
Is he though? Because here's the thing. I get this because I was, and I've heard this a lot of times too. And a lot of people say that Michael Myers is kind of like a force of nature. And that's the phrase that I've heard uttered about Michael Myers, is that he's not a person, he's a force of nature. But here's the problem I have with that though. Okay, so in the original Halloween, when Michael is like stalking Laurie Strode in broad fucking daylight, which by the way, Haddonfield must have the worst police officers, because if you see a random weirdo in the middle of the afternoon standing with a Halloween mask on, and there's no one else with a Halloween mask on, wouldn't you think that maybe you might question that person? But my point is, like, there's a moment in that film where I forget what little boy it is. It might have been Tommy Doyle, or it might have been one of the other ones. But like, he runs into Michael, and the whole idea that Michael Myers is a force of nature, if he ran into that kid, shouldn't that kid be dead?
Yeah.
Like in the middle, you know what I'm talking about? Like, it's in the middle of the day, the kid runs into him, Michael like stops him, and then doesn't like pursue him. The kid just runs away, and Michael doesn't do anything. I'm just like, don't you think that a kid who that a kid who runs into Michael Myers, that they would automatically be dead? And the same sort of thing actually happens in this film, in Halloween Kills, where Lonnie kind of runs into Michael, and Michael doesn't do anything.
I would say that he's a bit strategic. Like, he's not just like a mindless killing machine. I think there is some level of intellect to Michael, even though they say in this movie he's a 6-year-old boy with like 6'5" man's body and like the mind of an animal or something like that. But
they just say he's evil.
Yeah, because he obviously, when like that scene that I'm referring to, there are people running by him constantly, but he sees a woman in her house that he thinks, oh, maybe the back door's open and I can kill her, and then I won't be caught and I can go continue killing. Like, there's a strategy there.
I guess so. I guess for me, it's just a matter of everyone who's ever watch one of these films, the one thing they always say is that he, is just kind of a rabid dog. He goes all over the place. But then there clearly are moments where he doesn't do that. And in this movie, they really do push the whole, he's unstoppable, he's a force of nature, he will destroy everything. But clearly that's not who we see in the original. And that's again, maybe that is just kind of splitting hairs, and I probably am. But it was just something that I never quite understood. I never quite understood that.
Because, like, I don't know, do we want to jump all over the place? Because I feel like we could almost discuss the ending on that note here. I guess we should say spoilers.
Well, I mean, I kind of figured this was going to be a spoiler movie. I mean, I'm sorry. The movie's been out for, at this point, what, 2 weeks? Yeah. So if you haven't seen it, obviously go and watch it. Pause us. Watch the movie. It's on Peacock, and it's also in theaters. I saw it on Peacock. Did you see it in theaters?
I saw it in the theater instead of the cock.
Is that because of your new job there, John?
Oh, no. ROAS doesn't have it. We don't show anything new.
Oh, well then. I figured you would have gotten perks there with your new job there. But anyway, yeah, so it's in theaters, it's also on streaming. So either way, you have plenty of opportunities to watch this. So yeah, we are going to spoil the shit of it, sorry. But yeah, I think we can kind of just jump in from the point of the 2018 ending, which if you haven't seen Halloween 2018, Michael Myers is a crispy critter. Like,
yeah.
He's dead. Like, I'm sorry. There's no coming back from that. He's a crispy critter.
And the logic jumps that, like, they make in these movies, too, that because, like, obviously Michael has to live. Like, they're just looking at him as Michael's looking back up at them, and they have guns. Like, don't just count on the fire. Like, maybe shoot him in the head, too.
Well,
like, and then let him burn.
You know what? I gotta tell you, this is going to be a point of contention that I really believe that Haddonfield has the dumbest fucking people on the planet. Like, I really believe that the town of Haddonfield, Illinois, has literally the dumbest people who've ever lived on the planet. But yeah, that's the thing. In 2018 Halloween, Michael Myers is trapped in Laurie Strode's, Home Alone crazy madhouse of doom, and is getting burned alive. And everyone's good. Everyone's happy. Yay, Michael's dead, blah, blah, blah. But unfortunately, this thing called money happened. And David Gordon Green saw the money and said, well, we have to make a sequel.
I think they always intended this to be.
Did they?
Yeah.
I
remember hearing, right when this one was coming out, that Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. I knew those titles. So I think they always intended to make this a 3-parter.
See, I think, I don't know. I don't know if I remember that. I think I remember this thing came out and they were more or less like, we're going to see how it does financially and then decide if we want to make a sequel to it.
If it had bombed, they would have.
But that's what I mean is money happened, and for all intents and purposes, I mean, this was, I'm not going to poo-poo 2018 too much. It was leaps and bounds better than the Rob Zombie shit.
Oh, yeah.
I have no problem saying that. It was amazingly better than the Rob Zombie stuff. I just have problems with some of the logic in this. But in comparing to other versions, like, this is way better. But yeah, so the movie made money. They had to make a sequel. And sure enough, Michael has to survive. And he's not even barely touched by the fire.
Yeah. Well, it's so weird. Like, I think that they purposely used editing to confuse the whole, like, room. Because, like, firemen are falling through, like, a hole in the ground, but it's supposed to be the basement. And then it, like, goes to this room where there's a closet garage thing that Michael's in, and he raises it and kills that fireman.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
And how did the fireman even get in there in the first place? Because, like, it had been blocked off by Laurie.
That's what I'm saying. Laurie had this Home Alone House of Doom all set up, and it was designed specifically to trap him. So how the hell are they able to, just get in there? No problem. What I find hilarious about this whole fire thing is just how Michael Myers at this point is not a human being anymore. Like, that's the thing for me, is that at this point in this movie, and this is the one criticism I'll have, is that Michael Myers quite literally is not human.
Yeah.
He has entered Jason territory.
It's true. It's so weird because, going back to the 2018 one, they made a big deal out of saying Michael Myers is just flesh and blood. He's just a guy. So when he was shot by Loomis, he only got a couple more, blocks, and then he passed out from, having bullets in him. He's not. And then in this one, they, as they even say, like in the trailers, it's like, oh, the more he kills, the more he transcends. Like,
that's bullshit.
What does that mean?
That's just fucking bullshit.
I think that's abstract enough too that they can walk their way out of that. If it gets too far, like, oh no, we meant that metaphorically. But
it's bullshit. It's like, I heard that part too, and they're just like, you can't kill him, you can't use brute force. No, I think you can.
Yeah, jump to the end of the movie, like. We got all these like people around him, hitting him with 2x4s and baseball bats and shooting him and stabbing him. And, and then he's lying there on the ground. And once again, like I said, with the 2018 one, why not just shoot him in the head before he burns to death? Laurie Strode's daughter comes up, Judy Greer comes up and like stabs him in the back instead of the head.
Well, I mean, honestly, and I guess we should talk about the stupid people of Haddonfield. So Michael Myers comes to town, okay, and you know about all the murderings he's done, okay, and the weapons that you choose are bats and clubs and 2x4s and tire irons, and I think even one person I saw this, someone posted this on Facebook, actually had an actual like electric iron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that too.
And those are the weapons that you bring. Like, and then as you said, John, they do everything other than a kill shot. Everything other than a kill shot. Like, where was the person with, I don't know, the truck? Because of course it's Haddonfield. Someone's got to have a truck, right? And where's the person in the truck who says, take Michael Myers over here and let's just squash his head?
Yeah.
Like seriously, back the truck up and run him over about 50 times. Because unless that head is separated from the body, and then of course everything else has to be cut up, because if we're going with Halloween Kills rules, he's not a human being anymore. So okay, chop him up, just like we would with the undead, and just put him in concrete or something. But again, these people are idiots. And Tommy Doyle especially is king idiot in this. I know Anthony Michael Hall was saying in interviews that he was excited to actually be like the hero, but I'm sorry, he's king idiot in this movie. No, he's not a hero.
He's possibly just as much of a villain as, well, not as much as Michael, because Michael's just killing everyone left and right. By the way, the body count in this thing, there was 5 people killed in the first Halloween movie.
Yeah.
I think I did the math after I got out of the movie theater, and I could be wrong, and I didn't Google it to double check. I think he kills 25 people in this movie.
He kills a lot of people in this.
25 fucking, it's a little over the top.
Hey, you know what? It's Halloween Kills. Yeah. It's got to live up to the title, man.
But yeah, so, and they, as you mentioned, they didn't beat, the living tits out of him.
Just stop.
With a baseball bat. Yeah. Oh, let's all go home. Let's leave his body there.
Well, let's watch him. Like, they literally beat the shit out of him. He's gotten shot. He's fallen on the ground. And they're just like, all right, let's watch. We beat him. Yay. Let's buy a beer. And sure enough, he's not dead. Why? Because there's no kill shot. And that's like every single time. It's cardinal sin. And that's why I'm like, no wonder he's not fucking dead. Because none of you guys did your due diligence.
Well, I'd say, the movie opens up with like kind of not directly, but as a flashback to, 1978.
We are jumping all over the place. So sorry.
Yeah. But I think that, but I'm just, going to jump to the mob in a second here. But I thought the 1978 stuff was pretty neat, but I think that also kind of lends to the idea that he's more than a man, because the scenes that we see in 1978 of him walking around are after he's been shot 6 times by Loomis. So he's got 6 slugs in his chest.
I shot him 6
times. But he's walking around like, 6 bullets. Who gives a tit? Maybe he doesn't feel pain the way normal people do. I don't know. That's an actual disorder, but they never mention that. Yeah,
but I guess for me, it's just a matter of like, it goes into territory that I'm like, this is what people didn't like about the sequels to Halloween. You know, like the whole what the hell was it? The cult shit, where it's
Cult of Thorn.
Yeah, whatever the fuck that thing is. You know, that whole cult shit just gets into the stuff that doesn't make sense and honestly irritates people who have problems with the sequels. Like I'm watching this and I'm seeing also the whole bizarre and very unnecessary angry mob against the one person who survived, one person who also was with Myers when he escaped. Like that whole thing there, that whole subplot, that third could be taken out because it's pointless. It's stupid. Yeah. But I'm jumping around. But my point is just like this whole immortal Myers shit. I just think that it's not good, and I think it really betrays what Michael Myers and what Halloween has always been about, which has always been this person is flesh and blood, and that he has come home and he's come to terrorize. So, like, that's it. There's always an end game that he can be killed. He's not Jason Voorhees. He's not an undead monster. Okay, he's not.
I don't know because like even by Halloween 2, and I mean I should say. The 1981.
I was going to say
2,
that's another universe now.
Zombie 2,
that's
not
another
Halloween
universe.
2008 2. Yeah. Is that they're already hinting at the idea that he's more than alive because like the one guy goes to check his body after Loomis shoots him again and goes, he's not even breathing, and then Michael wakes up and breaks his neck and everything. So, and then by the fourth one, he gets shot I think like 100 times and survives. So I think that they tried to treat him kind of like a Jason, but at least Jason. And if you watch the first 4 Friday the 13th movies, well, I should say the 2, 3, and 4, because he's technically not in the first one, just that jump scare at the end.
That's mom.
Yeah. Mommy. You could, it's a suspension of disbelief that his wounds he could technically come back from.
Yeah.
I mean, in reality, no, but he could come back from. They always say that because Halloween 5 is a imposter Jason. Friday the 13th 5, is an imposter Jason. And the 6th one is when he gets struck by a bolt of lightning like Frankenstein and comes back. And that's what a lot of fans call zombie Jason, where you can't kill him no matter what you do to him. But there's never been anything like that with Michael Myers.
And that's my point, is that the only thing you could point to, even if you go to the Bizarro sequel stuff, is just the whole Cult of Thorns stuff, which has always been just weird. I've always said that Halloween has never been one of my favorite franchises. It's kind of low on my list of ones that I care about. But I've always found that this whole idea of Michael Myers being more than human, and it just didn't fit with what I think John Carpenter kind of wanted to go with, as being more or less this deranged person being that force of nature, but still being a person. That's why Laurie Strode takes his mask off at the end of it and, stabs him in the eyeball. That sort of thing. It humanizes the character to a point, And
that's the problem with the first movie is brilliantly simplistic. Like a psychopath escapes and goes to his hometown and kills people because, well, he's crazy, and then he gets shot a bunch of times. And unfortunately, the director at the time wanted to be all artsy fartsy and say, well, Michael Myers might be dead, but evil lives on, so his corpse isn't going to be down there. Evil is forever, And of course, what that accidentally does is creates the idea, oh, Michael Myers can survive being shot. He's actually the real boogeyman. Ooh, If Loomis had just looked over the balcony and just seen like him lying there, he would have went, good. The credits roll. Then I don't think we would have had all these sequels.
Well, no, what we should have had was just Loomis shoots him 5 times and then walks over to his body, pulls off his fucking mask, and then shoots him dead in the head.
Yeah.
And then says, I shot him 6 times. Yeah. That's what it should have been. But getting back to this movie. Michael survives and starts basically going on a rampage throughout Haddonfield, which then, of course, gets the attention of Tommy Doyle and his band of merry men and women.
And Lindsay, by the way, Lindsay Wallace in this movie, that is the actual little girl from the first one.
Is it?
Yeah.
My wife thought that was the case, and I'm like, I think it is, too. And then I also was the nurse, too, right?
Yep.
What's her face?
Yeah. I don't know what happened to the little boy that played Tommy Doyle and why they couldn't give him the role, but hey,
it's called Anthony Michael Hall called up, and they're like, oh, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah, we'll put you in here.
We'll put you in. You were in the Brat Pack. But yeah, so the weirdest thing happens in this, and I got to get to this because this is probably the part of the movie that pissed me off the most. It is when we're introduced to Tommy Doyle and Lonnie and what's her face, the nurse, Marion, and all the survivors in this bar. Sure enough, news breaks that Michael Myers is on the loose, that he's not actually dead and blown up, but that he is killing people again. And, I forget who it was. The couple goes into that one couple, that the nurse and doctor, they go into their car and they see who they think is Michael Myers. And I'm just like, there's no way in hell. One, no one knows what he looks like. Two, the person in that car is short and fat.
Yeah.
And bald. Like, very bald.
They had mentioned on the news story, like, and there's still two crazy people out, Michael Myers and a man not identified. Like,
and they showed the picture of the man who was on the loose with Myers. And that was the person who was in the car, which causes Tommy Doyle to be like, oh, yes, I'm going to get my vigilante army. Because, like the whole time they're searching for Myers. I'm like, dude, you are ill-equipped. Because you have a baseball bat. He makes a big fucking stink about having this whole baseball bat, old Huckleberry. And I'm just like, what the fuck are you going to do with that up against Michael Myers?
Well, just a scene earlier, they showed him up against like 7 firemen. Firemen are in incredible shape. They have axes and like, fucking saws. And Michael just destroys the shit out of all of them.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that on the news, it said all the firemen were killed.
Yeah.
So a group of 20 firemen with axes and reciprocating saws and shit, that they couldn't kill him and get any scratch on him. But you, Tommy Doyle, with your baseball bat, you are going to take him down. That's it.
And this is so forced. This is what drives me insane, is that, like, if you thought you were going to make 3 films, you should have introduced Tommy Doyle in the 2018 one. And, maybe it would have completely slowed down the pace of the movie, but kind of got a sense in how much that event had traumatized him and how, like, it could easily spark him to, like, anger or causing a riot, where we just get introduced to him for, like, 2 minutes where he's telling, like, the backstory, like, remember me? I'm the guy from the first movie. And then 5 minutes later, he's like, let's all fucking freak out and kill this motherfucker. It's like, yeah. Well, okay. So he's that guy? Like,
yeah, he's that guy. He's the vigilante mob guy. And, he whips up the entire town into a frenzy. And when I mean frenzy, I mean that in the purest sense of the word. Like that, he is a, I don't know, he's a mob instigator.
And I'll say this about this movie. This is not a horror movie at all.
Oh, really?
This is an action suspense movie with unbelievable gore. There never once did I feel like, the pacing, the timing, the whole mood and everything. Never once did I feel like this was a horror movie. I thought this was an action movie where the killer was just insanely violent.
I can see that. And I think part of it too is that when we watch any of these Halloween films, we're so far removed from what they were. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is the 12th film in this series. So there's really, what tricks do you have to really build that suspense anymore? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's so true. Cause I go back to Halloween 4, which obviously is, we've done a retrospective in the series. Everybody knows the problems I have with that movie is that, that one, Michael kills a quadrillion people and, everybody in the town is, afraid and everything. But that movie still, for all of its faults, top to bottom, it still builds tension, still builds like fear, and slowly builds up to things. And this one is just Michael kills, Michael kills, Michael kills, town is afraid, hospital's going nuts, riot squad, Michael kills, riot squad, running around, shooting, punching, kicking, bats, explosions. It's like this is not a horror movie.
No, I get it, and it seems it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit, and it also might be that we're also expecting a horror movie that I don't know if it exists anymore, too. I mean, this is getting sort of deep in the weeds here, but I have a serious problem with modern horror, a very serious problem with modern horror. I think it has not at all lived up to what these films are really supposed to be about, which is building tension and instilling dread in your audience. And I very rarely have found any films in the past 15 years or so that have really done that. Maybe a handful that have done that. And the truth is that I after we watched this with Lauren and I looked at her and I said, listen, this isn't bad. It's not great. And ultimately, I don't think I'm going to remember this in 10 years.
Yeah. I will say this about the film, because just piggybacking on what you said there, I was more entertained by this film than I thought it was a good film.
Oh yeah, totally. No, we were totally entertained. We were engaged in it. So good job.
Well, the pacing never lets up. Like it's just constant. Like either the people are rioting or freaking out, or Michael's killing. Yeah, it's nonstop.
The only time the pacing lets up is when we get Judy Greer talking to Laurie Strode, and it's very forced, and it does not. I'm sorry, Laurie Strode acts like an idiot in this too. She literally got stabbed. What, an hour or two ago? She got stapled up, and it's like, I gotta get up. It's like, no.
Shoots some adrenaline right in her butthole.
Shoots adrenaline in her butthole. I gotta get up and get him. He's gotta die.
I gotta butt chug some adrenaline.
Woman, you can't do shit right now.
And that's unfortunate too. Is this whole movie just completely sidelines Laurie? She's completely helpless and useless in this entire movie. It's like, well, I thought this was supposed to be like, ooh, look, everybody, Jamie Lee Curtis is back. Ooh, but no. And I know the next one is probably going to only be Laurie versus Michael.
Oh, absolutely. And the ending of this totally set that up. You had nowhere else to go with Judy Greer's character. There was no one else to do. She had to die. And from a storytelling standpoint, the second film did do that right. It did set up a third film. And I do think this movie does stand on its own two legs. I'm not going to say that it's one of these ones that has to exist within a series. I don't think it does. I think this one actually can exist on its own. But it did that part correct in that it did kill off, sorry, again, this is a spoiler, kill off Karen, because that was the only way that you could then give Laurie motivation for the third one.
Well, here's my problem with that. She already had motivation in the sense, like, we were talking about her shooting adrenaline into her body. She's like, nobody should have to live in fear anymore, and this motherfucker needs to die, and I've been haunted by him, and I won't rest until I know that he's 6 feet under. So she already has motivation to kill him, and I don't know if the film had to kill off Karen's character.
Yeah, it did. Here's the reason why it did. Yeah. Karen was the only person who is trying to think rationally about this. Throughout the entire movie, Karen's daughter, Allison, was trying to go out and try to, kill Michael Myers. She tried to get in the mob mentality. Jamie Lee Curtis, Laurie Strode, she's trying to go ahead and kill Michael Myers, not trying to take care of herself. Karen's the only center of, rational thinking in the whole film. Okay? Yeah. So if the center of rational thinking is killed off at the very end, okay, because that center of rational thinking finally gives in and says, yeah, you know what? I'm going to kill this motherfucker. And it backfires on her. That's what you need to have happen for the next movie to progress. That person could not be there Karen could not be in the next movie. It just wouldn't work. It just wouldn't work.
Well, and I hate to victim blame, but if she had just stayed in the hospital with her mother,
she
totally wouldn't be dead.
Again, that's what I'm saying. If she listened to her own advice.
Yeah.
The whole movie, she's saying, you got to stay with grandmother, which, by the way, I find it really fucking weird that they refer to Laurie Strode as grandmother all the time.
Your grandmother. Yeah.
You must, no, not your grandmother, just, you must stay with grandmother.
Yeah.
Like, ugh.
Well, maybe the guy that got peanut butter on his penis, maybe his mom was already dead before.
Oh, gross.
That wasn't a good sign for 2018 when he's like, oh, man, I got peanut butter on my penis. I'm like, oh, it's going to be that kind of movie?
It's going to be that kind of movie. Yeah.
But, like, and when I was watching the movie, it hit me instantly when, Michael was about to kill the granddaughter.
Yeah.
And Karen stabs him with a halo sigh, like right in the back and everything. How did she know to go there?
She didn't.
She didn't. She read the script, right?
She read the script.
Yeah. She just showed up. I was sitting there watching the movie, eating my popcorn. I'm like, I should not go there. The lady next to me was like, shut up. We're having a good time.
There's no way she knew to go to his house.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's one of the things is I think these movies can get away with those sorts of things because of the fact the pace never lets up. It never gives you a moment to just think. And it's the same thing that The Last Skywalker did. Remember, we reviewed that and we said that the problem with that is that the pace never stops. It's consistently always on, always happening, action, 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 and you never get a moment to think. And if you don't get a moment to think, you won't get a moment to worry about what is that plot point doing there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you never will question if it's good or not because you don't even have time to think about it.
Yeah.
Oh, we're on to the next thing,
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of things that I thought were hilarious in this, not the plot points, I gotta say, I love the Big John, Little John characters.
I hated them. I feel like I'm the only one.
Really?
They were so out of place, so forced, and it just...
Oh, come on.
It reminded me of like the comic relief in like Halloween 5. Like we didn't need silly guys in here, I don't know. I thought that for a movie that had 25 fucking people get killed and, was kind of nonstop insanity, that it was nice to have a little bit of a breather with Michael McDonald and Scott MacArthur, Scott MacArthur, you might not remember, he was in the show The Mick that only lasted one season, he was funny in it. But Michael McDonald, I was waiting for him to do a Stewart impression. No! I want to do
it. Michael, you've come home. Look back at him. And Stewart's mom comes out. Start! Yeah, but I whole time it's like, oh, he's gonna do Stewart. No, he's not. He's just Little John, which those names are weird. Those names are fucking weird. I don't know anyone who calls him that.
It'd be so weird to date somebody with your exact same name.
Big John, Little John?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fucking weird. I guess for me the part I liked about them was the fact that they lived in the Myers house, and it's one of those things that if you ever lived in a house that was as murdery as the Myers house is, notorious as the Myers house is, you probably have to deal with that shit literally all the time, every fucking Halloween. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And their reaction to it, I thought was hilarious. That's why I liked that. Like them in it. But honestly,
do you think that's commentary?
Commentary about what?
Well, is that these two gay men are in a very, very small rural town, and the idea that maybe the only place or the only property that they could buy was the murder house because
it's That's an interesting point. I didn't think of it that way, but it's a very interesting point, and it might be. I don't know if this movie went that deep into it. I guess the one thing I did like was that even though you could say that these two characters were somewhat forced, they didn't make them seem like stereotypes. At least I didn't read them as stereotypes. A lot of horror movies kind of have a knack for making homosexual individuals stereotypes. And it was refreshing not to see that with this.
if anything, the only stereotype they were hipsters. They were very hip.
That was the only thing I saw.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, there are oftentimes horror movies that are guilty of doing that.
Oh yeah.
It's honestly, it's mostly movies from the early 2000s that were really homophobic. But even more modern films I've seen that are in the horror genre, they tend to still kind of rely on those stereotypes, and it was nice to not see that it was just, these two men are gay and they live in the Myers house, and what kind of shit would they have to deal with every fucking Halloween if they got kids who are acting like assholes. But found it funny that Michael Myers kills kids in this movie. That was interesting.
I remember the baby in 2018. I'm like, dude, please tell me he kills the baby. And then he walks by and I'm like, ah.
Well, I think Myers has like an age limit. Like, he won't kill you unless you've gone through puberty.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're like 12 and up,
You're
he'll
12
kill you.
12 and
it's
up.
kind of like the COVID, vaccine. 12 and up, Yeah.
Birth date.
Yeah.
Well, you're old enough to die.
I saw that you bought candy at Walmart without being carded. Die.
Yeah.
But yeah, this whole movie, I think, can be just summed up in this is, the whole plot is they find out Michael's on the loose. Mob goes crazy between the hospital and the streets trying to find Michael, and Michael kills people. And then it leads to a final confrontation. Like, I don't mean to overly simplify, but that's the whole movie right there.
That's it.
And I hate the scene in the hospital where the other guy from the insane asylum jumps out of the window and dies. And then Tommy Doyle's like,
I shouldn't have done that.
Whoopsie. Maybe I should have incited the entire town into a blood rage.
That's what I'm saying is I hate that part. I hate that whole section. That whole section I'm watching, I'm just like, this is so fucking stupid. First of all, what type of police force is going to allow a townie to whip up the entire town into a frenzy?
Yeah, the police do nothing.
Like seriously, you did nothing the whole fucking time. And you can't tell me that, Haddonfield has no police. Bullshit. It's Haddonfield, for God's sake. They had a crazed killer in there 40 years ago. You're going to tell me that you haven't thought about, the fact that maybe you might have that happen again? So yeah, don't tell me that.
I'm sure they at least have 40, 50 cops.
Yeah. And you're telling me none of those 40, 50 cops or someone would have called in the National Guard or someone like that to come in because of Anthony Michael Hall whipping up the entire town into an insane frenzy that is played off. And this is the part I hate about this movie that drives me off. It's played off that this part here, the evil, is all because of Michael Myers. You know what I mean? They played it off like he's some supernatural thing that ends up infesting the whole town and turning them all insane. And that's the one thing I think that some people have picked up on.
And I think that could be possibly what they mean by transcends. Like, the more he kills, the more he drives everyone, insane. It drives them to their worst behaviors because they live in constant fear. So they're going to do irrational, violent, terrible things.
Yeah, but that gets too much into some weird supernatural territory with this. And that's the problem I have with it, is that it's so far removed from the original concept. You know what I mean? Like, that's getting into some weird territory that I don't know if necessarily fits with this kind of film. Other kinds of film, maybe. But I just don't think that with a movie that's at its very core about an insane person who just comes to his hometown and kills people, that it has to be about, the whole town gets infected by the evil. That's not for this. It's not for this,
It was nice to see actually Haddonfield being involved in one of these.
Yes, that part was nice because clearly they had the budget to pay for extras.
And yeah, exactly. And well, it is interesting too. Is like when, you look at 4 and 5 and 6. Like when these movies came out, you didn't have text message warnings, Michael Myers on the loose. You didn't have 5 TVs in every house. You weren't able to just get on your laptop and look things up. So Michael could basically escape and kind of go unnoticed for.
Dude, if I got a text message warning saying Michael Myers was on the loose, I'd get in my car and I'd run to the next town.
Yeah,
because clearly he's not going to any other town. He's only staying in Haddonfield. That's the only place the man goes. He doesn't go anywhere else. So as long as you go over to not Haddonfield, down the street, and you hold up for, a week or so until Haddonfield burns to the ground, then maybe you'll be okay, because he only stays there. But yeah, if I got a text message saying Michael Myers on the loose, I wouldn't go look for him. I'd get in my fucking car and get the fuck out of town.
But I mean, it kind of makes sense how there's like a mob mentality and people freaking out in this movie, because everyone knows, because everyone has the technology. Even like doctors, their beeper goes off. Michael Myers, like, oh shit, every piece of technology, is being used in this kind of circumstance. But yeah, I don't know. It just,
I didn't hate it. I mean, that's the thing is, I don't know about you, John. I didn't hate this. I didn't love it either.
As I said, just to repeat, like, I was very, very entertained by the movie. I didn't think it was a good movie, but I was very entertained by it. Also didn't think it was a bad movie. I thought, maybe it's because, as, Dear Psychos Nation, how much, like, I absolutely adore the original Halloween. I think I would have probably even enjoyed this movie a lot more if it was, like, white-face killer, like it wasn't Halloween. It was just some new serial killer slasher guy out there. I think I would have even enjoyed it more. I don't know.
Yeah. My wife had a great review, because I asked her before the show. I said, I need a 1-sentence review from you. And I said, I asked her, what's your 1-sentence review? And her review is predictable nostalgia that could be worse.
Okay.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah. See, a lot of nostalgia stuff. I mean, like, are a lot of people basing it on the fact that, like, there's Tommy Doyle in the movie, there's some characters from the first movie. They mention, like, the neighboring towns.
Yeah.
They go to Haddonfield Memorial, because, like, this one does not feel at all like the first, say, 2 movies, the 78.
No, it doesn't. But think about it. The kids are wearing silver shamrock masks.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've got the characters that from the original. You go back to 1978. So it totally is nostalgia at its core. This movie wouldn't exist without nostalgia. At least currently it wouldn't exist without nostalgia. So yeah, it absolutely is nostalgia. But my wife is right. It could have been much worse. It could have been. Yeah. It could have been a Friday the 13th, remake level, or it could have been a Hellraiser remake level.
No, you're thinking Nightmare on Elm Street remake.
That's right. That. Yeah. Fuck that movie. Fucking frog-faced Freddy. What the hell was up with that? But he looks like a fucking frog. But yeah. So I agree with her. It could have been much worse. It does the job of a second film in a trilogy. I'll give it that. But it does it in a way that I don't know lives up to the core tenets of this character, especially because of the fact that this movie is supposed to fall more in line with what we got in 1978. Like, that's the thing too, is that this isn't supposed to be Rob Zombie's take on Halloween, or it's not supposed to be someone else's bizarro take on this character. It's just supposed to be, hey, this is in the same universe. So that's, I think, the big thing for me is that I don't know if this whole evil of Michael Myers sustains him and infects the whole town thing. It fits with his character. I don't know if that fits. That's, I guess, my big take on it.
And if he was this supernatural evil force, how come he was in Haddonfield, sanitarium for, 35, 40
years?
Yeah, he should have been able to break out of that with his, like, super blunt force and the fact that he can't be killed with bullets and knives and bats. Like, yeah, why'd he stay in prison all that time? Because
that fucking podcaster had to show him the goddamn mask.
Yeah. Okay, and the mask thing drives me nuts. I'm going to hit to that in 1 second. But
okay,
one thing that doesn't make any sense to me at the end of this movie is that he gets up and he kills like 15 people, and
kills
I don't know
everybody.
why. Yeah, I don't know why he couldn't like killed them the first round when they were hitting him. I guess like he needed the element of surprise or something. But anyway,
it was because the evil sustains him.
Oh.
Do you get it? Everyone attacked him, and it fueled his evil reserves. Because inside Michael Myers, despite the fact that he is an aging old man, which he is. Okay, folks.
He's like a 60-some-year-old man.
He's a 60-something-year-old man. He's not a spring chicken, but somehow that sustained him at the evil. His evil batteries refilled because Tommy Doyle and his gang of minions decide to beat the shit out of him with irons and crowbars.
Wait, actually, no. He's 66 years old. If my math is correct here.
I'm a filmmaker. I don't do math.
Hold on, 68, 65, 64, 63.
So you're doing math, man.
Yeah. I'll get it in a second. But the whole mask thing drives me absolutely crazy. Oh, I'm sorry. To finish my one point. At the beginning of the movie, when we see 1978, when Michael steps out of his house and there's like 15 cops there, he just stops. You know, because he knows I've been beat. I don't want to die. I'll probably escape sometime in the future again. So I'm going to stand frozen, let them capture me, and I'll break out again someday and kill again. Yeah. But so why didn't he do that when the mob showed up? Why didn't he just like surrender like he did in the 70s?
Evil batteries, man.
Evil batteries. Yeah. It's like Arnold in T2, like reserve power.
Yeah.
But yeah, the mask. Okay. I got to talk about this.
All right.
He broke into a fucking hardware store in 1978, and he grabbed the first mask he saw because it was Halloween night, and he was smart enough, even as a crazy person, to know that if he wears a mask, he can blend in.
Yeah.
The mask doesn't hold any special significance to him. I don't even think he cares.
It does to Shatner.
Yeah. And I don't even think he cares about hiding his face. Once again, I think that it did two things. Well, he was able to hide his face from Loomis and any of the cops looking for him that know what he looks like. And also, once again, so he can blend in on Halloween. I don't think he feels he has to guise his face, or this mask is like some kind of power force for him.
It's his face. It's the whole thing.
And you know who the mask is like that important to? It's us. It's projection.
Yes.
We, the audience, the whole 90% of that movie is his mask.
Yes.
And so we think the mask has power because we keep going back to the movies because of that fucking mask. It's Michael wouldn't give a shit when she's like, "You want your mask? Come and get it." You should have just been like, "Nah, I'm going to turn around and kill your daughter because I don't give a shit. I don't even need the mask anymore because everyone knows what I look like and they're after me. What the fuck do I even need the mask for?"
You actually are true. They did post his face on TV. So like, everyone did see his face, even though our camera didn't see his face because it was blurred out. Yeah. But everyone else saw it, right? Like everyone and their mother in that bar saw it, so they all know what he looks like.
Yeah, he has no reason to wear the mask anymore. At all.
Yeah. But it's for our benefit. You're absolutely right, and I never understood. And again, I think this is all going to the whole idea that Michael at this point is something more than just a human being. I think it is dipping into some supernatural shit that honestly I don't like.
I think you're right, because I think the idea is that Michael Myers without the mask is Michael Myers, but with the mask, he's the shape. He's evil incarnate.
Yeah, and that apparently infects the town.
Yeah, like
and fills his evil batteries up. Yeah,
it's kind of like Breaking Bad, like when Walter White puts on like the hat and the glasses. He's Heisenberg then. So. But.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll wait till next year when the fucking sequel to this comes out. Which, by the way, if you're expecting that's going to be the end of Michael Myers, I guarantee you it won't, because money.
Yeah, it'll be the end of this one, and then they'll reboot it again.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll get somebody else. I don't know.
Or we'll get Rob Zombie's part 3 or something.
Well, we're going to get his Monsters, and then we'll get his part 3. And people will love it and say, "Oh, it's the best one." And Jamie Lee Curtis will come out and say, "Oh, this is the real definitive one," until, because they'll give her a bunch of money, too. Yeah. Because that's kind of what happens every single time one of these movies comes up. I think she did that with the Busta Rhymes one, too. This is the definitive Michael Myers one, because she was in that for like a minute.
Yeah.
Well, she did it for H2O, and then she also did it for Resurrection.
Well, she
was in that for a minute.
I saw an interview with her where she claimed that because they always knew that she didn't kill Michael in H2O, even though she said, I signed on this movie to kill Michael. And they said, well, we can't really kill him off. It's in the contract. And she, everybody's sorry that I'm coughing. I'm coming down with sickness. Sorry about that.
You're good.
She said that, well, the only way I'll do it is if my character's in an insane asylum in the next movie and you kill me. And they go, okay.
Okay,
And
that's cool.
they agree to it, yeah.
Yeah, because they can kill Laurie Strode all they want. They just can't kill Michael Myers.
Yeah.
It's not possible. Well, then.
Well, you know what they'll do? They'll do the Halloween 4. They're going to have somebody take up the Michael Myers mantle. And they're going to be the new, and they're going to hold the mask, and they're going to.
You mean it'll be the
heavy.
Ghostbusters Afterlife thing?
Yeah,
where the next generation, it'll be like somehow his Michael's sperm or his DNA will somehow get on somebody, and that will like infect them because like a virus or some shit like that. It's the Michael Myers virus because obviously with where we're going with this franchise, all bets are off. They really are. Apparently Michael Myers can infect a whole town and make them all crazy. Who knows? But yeah. It'll be like the granddaughter. She'll be the new Jamie Lloyd. She'll like grab the mask at the end and start breathing heavy, and she's gonna be like the lady. Michael Myers. Oh, we can check boxes. Like, oh, now Michael Myers is a lady. Oh, check mark. Okay. I think we've talked this one to death.
Yeah.
Oh man, good talk.
Yeah.
Good talk. Well, John, where can they find you at on the social medias?
The Unreal J Wolves over on Twitter, and if you want some more Michael Myers, stuff, if you weren't satiated by this review completely, over on the YouTube channel, I have 2 interviews with Dustin McNeil based on his books, Taking Shape 1 and Taking Shape 2, where we talk about making of the Halloween franchises up through Resurrection, and then the second one is on all the sequels you never saw. They were either
awesome,
almost to production and quit, or like just were talked about. So yeah, a lot more Michael Myers over there for you.
Awesome.
J-Dub's Video Nasties.
Awesome. Good stuff. You can find me on @BrianConnington, also on the Psycho Show page. Be sure to like us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter @Psycho Show. You can also find us on the Epicast Network at epicastnetwork.com. If you have a favorite movie or question you want to throw away, or maybe you really liked Halloween Kills and want to find out more about Michael Myers Energizer Evil Batteries, you can contact us at cinemapsychoshow.com. Be sure to subscribe or follow us wherever you listen to audio. And I just want to take a moment and say, Happy Halloween. Please stay safe out there. Watch out for killers with crazy William Shatner masks. And we will see you next time.
Yeah, after Halloween ends, it's Halloween Returns, and then Halloween Forever, then Halloween and Robin.
Epicast.